Welcome to the Red Story, and just subscribe so I understand that everything is not in vain. Make some tea or coffee and listen to our new story, A Fractured Trust. My wife, Emma, and I have been together for 16 years. We're both engineers, met in college, tackled countless projects together, and built a solid life. We have two children, Caleb, 10, and Micah, 9. Micah was born with physical challenges. He struggles to walk and often uses a wheelchair. But he's such a bright, loving child, always smiling, eager to learn, and with a heart bigger than anyone I know. Caleb is healthy and full of energy, yet surprisingly sensitive. He's the one who notices when someone's upset and tries to fix it. We've had our share of arguments like any couple, sometimes about money, sometimes about work, or just trivial things like cleaning the house or which movie to watch. But despite the ups and downs, there was never a hint of divorce or infidelity. We trusted each other with everything. Our kids grew up in a stable environment, and we always had enough resources to give them a good life. A few weeks ago, Emma and I had a stupid fight that changed everything. It was about some TV show she had on. I can't even recall its name, something I found mind-numbing and silly. I made an offhand remark that the show was turning people's brains to mush. Emma, who's headstrong and never lets an insult slide, snapped back. Greater than asterisk, asterisk, Emma, eyes fixed on the screen, asterisk, asterisk. If you hate it so much, why don't you just leave the room? Greater than asterisk, asterisk, me, with a dismissive shrug, asterisk, asterisk, I just don't get how you can watch that. It's basically garbage. Emma, voice rising. Oh, so I'm too dumb to realize what's good or bad for me. Me, annoyed but tired. That's not what I meant, Emma. Emma, it sure sounds like it. It escalated into bickering, neither of us willing to let the other have the final word. Unfortunately, I had to leave for a work trip to another state the very next day. I despise leaving on bad terms, but Emma's stubborn streak is as strong as mine, so she refused to budge. I ended up hugging and kissing only the kids goodbye, ignoring the tension between Emma and me, then walked out the door with my suitcase. I was gone for 5 days. Normally, we'd text each other. Little updates like how are the kids or how's work going. But this time, Emma went silent. No calls, no messages. It stung, but I told myself maybe she was still upset or simply busy. On the third day of my trip, Micah sent me a text. Greater than Micah's text. Dad, when are you coming home? I really need to see you. Something about his wording unsettled me. He's usually cheerful, so the sudden note of urgency felt off. I called him, and his voice was shaky, like he was holding back tears or was scared. He wouldn't give details, just mumbled something about missing me. Back home, an uneasy truce. When I finally returned, Emma and I made a half-hearted attempt at reconciliation. It wasn't much, more like a polite truce. We avoided talking about our argument or our days apart. I had focused on the kids, especially Micah, who'd seemed so worried on the phone. That afternoon, I decided to take him for a walk in the park. The weather was lovely for autumn, crisp air, golden leaves on the ground, the sun not too hot, not too cold. I pushed his wheelchair along the path, watching him gather courage for whatever he wanted to say. Eventually, he cleared his throat. Micah, quietly, Dad, do you and Mom still love each other? Me, taken aback. Of course, buddy. We've been together a long time. Why do you ask? He paused, eyes darting away. His small hands gripped the sides of the wheelchair. When he spoke again, his voice shook. Greater than Micah. Then, why does another dad come over when you're gone? I stopped walking. My heart pounded as I knelt beside him. Greater than asterisk, asterisk, me. Stunned, asterisk, asterisk. What are you talking about, son? Another dad? Greater than asterisk, asterisk, Micah. Asterisk, asterisk. When you leave for work trips, a man comes here. Mom goes out with him, and they come back really late. He drops her off, then drives away. My mind reeled. I struggled to keep my voice calm, not wanting to scare him. Me, how often does he come over? Micah, every time you were away on business. Dad, here's a video. He handed me his phone. I watched a shaky clip taken from inside our living room window, showing Emma walking toward a silver car with a man at the wheel. He was older, gray hair, but sharply dressed. They drove off together. Another clip showed them returning late at night. Micah, I don't know who he is. Is he your friend? I couldn't speak for a moment, just stared at the screen. Finally, I managed. Me, swallowing hard, yes, maybe. Maybe he's a friend of ours. But deep down, something clicked. I recalled a photo Emma had once shown me, her therapist from a remote counseling session she'd done online for stress management. Gray-haired fit, that same clean-cut style. A flicker of recognition made my stomach churn. I forced a brave smile for Micah's sake, telling him not to worry and that everything would be okay. But inside, I was a mess. My entire life felt like it was collapsing under my feet. The weight of denial. Over the next week, I tried to behave normally. I considered leaving Emma right then and there, but thoughts of our kids held me back. They're only 9 and 10. Would they understand? How would Micah cope with more of Hevel in his life when he already faces so many challenges? At the same time, I couldn't look at Emma without feeling a surge of anger and betrayal. She moved through the house as if nothing had changed, cooking dinner, chatting about schedules, occasionally glancing at me with something like regret in her eyes. But we never addressed it directly. Our arguments grew more frequent and sharper. I found myself making bitter jabs, unable to pretend everything was fine. One night, after a tense dinner with the kids, Emma and I ended up in a hushed argument in the kitchen. Me, eyes on the floor. Maybe you should see your psychologist again, or meet up with him in person. Seems like you enjoy his company. Emma, turning pale, but refusing to back down. I think I will. In fact, I have an appointment soon. She stared at me defiantly, and for a second, I saw guilt flicker across her face. But then she lifted her chin and left the kitchen, leaving me feeling more certain than ever that something was truly broken between us. An uncertain tomorrow. So here I am trapped in a spiral of distrust and resentment. Part of me wants to pack up and leave, show Emma that this is unforgivable. Another part can't bear to hurt her children. They deserve a stable home, especially Micah, who needs emotional and physical support. I wish I had a clear plan, but right now I'm just angry. I can't ignore her betrayal, and yet I'm not sure if my own pain justifies taking the kids away from both parents under one roof. I see how protective Micah is, how worried Caleb becomes whenever we raise our voices. That alone makes me hesitate. I'm writing this because I can't keep it all inside anymore. I feel torn, confused, and betrayed. The story isn't finished. I don't know what tomorrow looks like. I keep thinking about divorce, but the moment I imagine telling my sons that I'm leaving, my courage fails me. Any advice would be a lifeline. Maybe someone out there has been through something similar. I don't know. All I know is my marriage is on the brink. My wife is still acting like nothing happened, and the psychologist, the man I suspect she's sleeping with, looms like a shadow over my family. For now, I'm trying to hold it together for the kids, but every day feels like I'm balancing on a fault line, waiting for the final earthquake that shatters our life completely.